Hello, everybody. We are coming to you with our 25.3 workout and results, coming to you earlier than usual. Fridays are a little busy for us this week, so we decided let's watch the reveal, sort of watch the pros do it as we're warming up and hit this thing as quickly as we could. It's a big one. It's as CrossFit as it gets. There's a lot of leaks this week, and so there's a lot of thoughts around deadlifts and rowing and wall walks and crazy rep schemes, and we certainly got wall walks, rowing, deadlifts, and snatches and cleans. Big workout. We're going to jump into it pretty quickly here because it's a little bit of a longer one, but when you first saw the workout, initial reactions?
I was pumped that it wasn't 50 deadlifts for sure. So that was because that's what one of the leaks was. Yep. So I was really pumped about that. I like the wall walks broken up, but I think I would have had more of an advantage if it was a bigger set.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Yeah. Love that the barbell was manageable sets. 25s is doable versus 50s. The row, I felt like, had the chance to be a separator, and I really like wall walks broken up too. We'll get into it, give you our thoughts here. So as we were starting this, what sort of intentions or even goals would you say you had as you looked at this one? 20-minute cap on it, 5, 50, 5, 25, 5, 25, 5, 25, 50. 5 and 50, yeah.
Yeah. My biggest goal was just to keep my breathing in check, just move consistently and have at least 3 minutes on the last row. That was like my parameters that I set, not really knowing how well everything else was going to go.
I did my napkin timeline for this one of each movement, roughly how long it would take. And when I did my rough timeline, I thought something between 14 minutes-ish, give or take, was possible. We saw the pros go sub 10. So I thought for me, 14, give or take some, knowing that the barbell's probably going to slow down. So starting off, I went really hot because I like wall walks, and I was like, I'm about to sit on the rower for 2.5 minutes. So I could sprint through those first 5 and then just kind of settle in to this first row. So the first set of wall walks, I don't think it does much to wreck you for the later ones. If you really are challenged with wall walks, then find a really smooth pace right away.
And I'm already seeing my issue with my row. I gotta leave my shoulders over my hips longer.
You like that little kind of
I'm opening my I think that's what burnt me out later though in the second row because I was just not using my legs enough. But I don't know, did you have any legs to use?
I really didn't. I was surprised. I was really hoping I would. There was a lot of hinging.
Yeah.
So in my head I was like, well, if you use your quads on the row, like you're gonna be okay because you're gonna use the backside of my body a lot for the row. I was actually holding about 14 to 1,500 here, which in my head I was like, it should feel comfortable because this is only the beginning of the workout. And it's always so easy to overpace a row and go out too hot. So that would be my other caution for folks is if you know when you're pretty tired in a workout, there's a certain pace you hold, say it's 800, 900, 1,000 calories per hour, I would try and find that pace on the first row. Don't go out too hot because it feels good and you feel fresh and you're like, I'm going to pull 1,200 because there's a lot of work that comes after this row.
Yeah, my comfortable pace is about 1,000. And so I tried to settle in there and find a little bit more rhythm in the pool. The pool gets better, I'm seeing, but it's still not great. Someone should coach me on that. Jeez.
Yeah, you should. You can certainly anticipate being on the rower for 3 or more minutes. So have that in your head, which lets you know, find the rowing stroke rate that you can breathe as well. Because, maybe you're pulling 1,000, but if you're rowing 32, 33 strokes a minute and you're really getting fatigued and gassed out, that's not going to be helpful. So settle into that 25, 28, 29 strokes per minute. Breathe and just drive with those legs, little pull. Because we'll get into this as well, but this is a very cumulative type of workout where the shoulders just keep getting more and more fatigued.
And ladies, for us doing this, our numbers are the same.
They are.
For the row. So if you're doing this with some guys, as I was, it's like it can get in your head a little bit when you guys hop off the rower so much faster. I mean, you were already ahead of me, so I knew you would get off faster, but it can get in your head like, oh, I'm not moving fast enough, and that just run your own race on this one. Try not to get sucked into what everybody else is doing.
The wall walks, it ends up being 20 or 25, one of the two, wall walks. So if you've been practicing your wall walks and you've got a rhythm, go with your rhythm. And for most folks, they have an idea of how many steps it takes. For me, it's 4 back, 3 going up. And you'll even notice I tend to shift and rotate my body a little bit. It just helps me feel more stacked over my shoulders. And in some way, it almost feels like my core gets a tiny bit of a break. I belted up the whole time. The deadlifts here. My initial thought was sets of 5 across the board because typically I don't like deadlifts, but in true fashion, just threw that out the window and I was like, these feel good. Let's do 8.
Oh, you did 8. I was like,
So then I was like, well, you did a big set, so now you get small sets after. So I think I went 8, 7, 6, 4, something like that. The barbell, it's going to be tough to say. I don't know if it's going to win or lose you a workout because, I mean, even if somebody rips off really big sets and holds on, I don't know if you're making up that much time if it blows you up so you can't get right back on the wall for wall walks or whatever's next.
So you had to check to make sure my triceps were there before I started. I was like,
Yeah.
are you guys working?
What do you like to think about on the wall walks? You said it's a movement you do like. I know
Yeah.
you like to do yoga, and I think that certainly helps with some of the mobility to get into these good positions.
My big thing, and this is what I coach, is you imagine your body as a Chinese finger trap, right? Tight in the middle, so it's holding the feet and the hands, and making sure those things are able to move as easily as possible.
And you've got long arms and long legs, and
Yeah.
even still, you can get into a good stacked position regardless of how long your limbs are here.
Yeah, they're a nice little thing to do, but once you get tired and it gets a little scary upside down,
Yep.
The rest in between does need to increase.
You can have plate changers here, certainly helpful because it's a decently fast turnaround to the next one. Something else that I have learned, and if you like wall walks or more proficient in them, think about jumping your feet onto the wall. It's just less time under tension. So the faster you get those feet on the wall and get into a stacked position, you're not trying to move those arms till you're in that good stacked position. That helps. And then this is my own personal little trick, if you will, for wall walks, is like everybody wants to rest their shoulders at the bottom and you try and figure out how long to last. So I stick one arm out, the other arm out, bring them both back, and that is my like rest break. It's almost like if you were doing,
Yeah.
you know, hey, go walk, touch the wall, come back, start doing more reps. That's my little cue of like, that's how long you get to rest. Hands out, hands in, and go. It's enough to take like 2 breaths. You kind of feel like you shake your shoulders out. So maybe try that out if you feel like you get really tired with wall walks, and let me know what you think about that.
Yeah, I saw you doing that. For me, if I move my hands, I know I'm going to rest too long. But if I put my head on the ground, it takes the tension out of the top of my back there.
Yeah.
And so like that little rest of like just putting my head down for a second and leaving my hands here is enough for me to like recharge and keep going.
If you like the barbell, if there's any relief in this workout, the first clean felt way lighter than I was anticipating, and that was like just a little bit of spark or motivation where I was like, oh, you can do 25 of these because this feels good after doing a bunch of 225 deadlifts.
Yeah, the cleans and the snatches are definitely a gift here. They could have been heavier.
Yes.
And so it's nice that they do go that light. What am I doing? Why are my shoulders going so far past my hips?
You look like you were really trying to show full extension at the top.
Yeah, I wanted them all to count. I knew that holding onto this bar was going to be a bad idea. I haven't done a lot of deadlifts, so I didn't want to get that eccentric load. So singles were going to be how I
Yes.
was going with that the whole time.
And I think for all the barbell movements, if you know barbell cycling, barbell movements in general tend to give you a little bit of fatigue. Singles for all of them are going to be really helpful, especially if it allows you to get back to the wall, because what you're going to find is, I think when you hit the cleans, I don't want to say that's when the workout starts, but that's when like the fatigue is really starting to set in. You're starting to question yourself a little bit. Am I going to get this workout done in time? I have a lot of work left to do. So a lot of those thoughts can start to get into your head when you're working through these bigger chunks of barbell movements.
Yeah, 25 reps has never felt so large.
Yeah. And I went with, I don't even know if you could call it a cluster set here, but I did 10 and then I gave myself a break. I think I did 8, gave myself another little break, and then just tried to get through some fast singles here.
Yeah, we kind of went opposite because you did big set on the deadlift, but then
Yep.
smaller sets in the Olympic lifts, where I did singles on the deadlifts, and then once I get back to the bar for the cleans and the snatches, that's when I hold on to
You
it
held
a
on
little
to it,
bit more,
yeah. For me, cycling gets my heart rate up pretty high, and I've just never been a great cycler of the barbell. But it's whatever is the preference here. I think whatever sets you up that you can walk from that bar back to the wall, and within 5-10 seconds, really try and get into that first rep, because wall walks, similar to burpees, when you're tired, it's easy to lay on the floor for 10,
my
15
gosh.
seconds and just sulk a little bit.
Because like they're just exhausted. Like
They are. They're very
and you do have to
effortful.
make sure everything is ready to go,
It
or
is.
you're gonna fall over.
Correct. So let's talk about when you get tired on the wall walk. You mentioned it. I know I felt it. You get that belly flop to the wall. You just have a completely arched and extended back. What are the ways you try and either mitigate that or fix that, especially as you get tired at these later wall walks? Because when you get to that arch position, it's almost hard to get your hands to the line. You run out of real estate.
Yeah. A big thing is instead of like focusing on moving your hands back, think about crawling your feet up the wall. Because if you're moving your feet, you've engaged your hips, you've engaged your back a little bit more. So you know it's staying active. That's why that jump is almost good because you have to be very like pointed with it.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I think when you start to get tired, I've just heard it said, you know, you want to think about that wall walk more like a hollow body than like an arch position if you're thinking gymnastics on the rig. So you really want to think about squeezing your belly, squeezing your butt, keep it off the wall. Because even when you get those hands to the wall, really we should try and keep those hips off. And then, you know, rush back, sprint back, whatever you got to do, get those hands back to the line and drop down to that floor as fast as you can. Thankfully, the snatches here didn't feel terrible, but I was breathing heavy, and I was like, well, let's see what we can do. So I think I ripped off 6, and I think I went like 6.6, 5, and then like 4.3 or whatever that equates to. But there's some decent rest breaks here as we're chipping away here. But what about you for cleans here? So you like to cycle.
Yeah, I went 3s to the 15. And then I went doubles after that because I didn't want to do 3 sets of 3 in a single. So I was just like, let's go doubles now.
Clusters are a great thing of 3s and 2s and just go back and forth, especially if you're like, once I pick up this bar, I just want to hang on for a little bit.
It didn't matter if I did 1 or 5 at a time. I was going to look like that when I was done.
Yeah.
It was just at this point in the workout, I was like, oh, I haven't felt like this in a very long time.
Yeah. On the pain scale, this one, it's up there pretty good. It's weird because it was longer than the last 2, but it was just like there was a level of intensity to it. So we've continued to identify what kind of pacing structure you should think of. For me, if I were to coach somebody in this, I would say imagine that this is a 20-minute AMRAP, and your goal is to pick a pace that you just keep moving for 20 minutes. If you think of this as a 10-minute workout like what the pros did, there's just no chance.
Yeah. It's going to be tough, too, for so many athletes like myself that are right on the line.
Correct.
And it's just going to be like, at this point in the workout, you're going to have to decide, are you going to keep putting in that full effort? Or are you going to kind of start to back off because you're on the verge of finishing or not finishing? Right.
And I will tell you that you experienced it, I experienced it. Chris is here doing it with us, too. He experienced it. That last row it's a gut check. So you just have to mentally be ready for that if you get some time to get on there, that it's not going to feel great, but it's the last thing you have to do.
Yeah. When before the workout started, I was like, okay, you need at least 3 minutes to finish that last row. And I think I get on at like the 16-minute mark. And I was like, oh, cool, you got yourself an extra minute, and that it was barely enough.
Well, and you know what's funny is we're not even 12 minutes into this workout. We're already talking about the last 4 minutes of it because it starts to set in that you're like, that's where we're going to be. And that's what we got to mentally get ready for. I think if you like wall walks, take advantage of that, move at a smooth pace, chip away at the barbell. If you love the barbell, maybe be a little bit more aggressive on the barbell and know that you're going to rest a little bit more on those wall walks because honestly, 5 wall walks, even if you went a little slower with it, it still is like, a minute 15 if you went 15 seconds a rep versus 25 cleans or 25 snatches is probably going to take you a minute and a half, 2 minutes or so.
Yeah.
So
I think that's the issue is the barbell work gets quicker, so you get less time to rest between those wall walks.
This is when I looked at the clock, and in my head I said, if you row a 1200, you can finish in under 15. And the first minute felt not good, but doable, and then the pace falls off. But it is a challenge. You can get on there, you settle into whatever pace, and you just kind of try and fall back on technique as much as you can and drive with the legs, regardless of the movement here.
Yeah. This was the point in the workout where I had to hold down a little bit of vomit.
It's a lot of hinging. It's a lot of hinging and then getting upside down. So I think that's also something to be aware of for athletes is going from inverted then to bending over and standing up consistently. Be ready for that as well. So if we're looking at the different options here, we're all attempting this workout RX. How would you think about deciding, should I try and do this workout RX or should I do it scaled? I think we've got 2 things to look at. You've got the wall walk and can I do that standard? And then I've got the barbell and can I move those weights even at a moderate intensity?
Yeah, if you can hit the weight for singles on everything, I would say that's okay.
Yeah.
If those wall walks, like you don't do more than 2 at a time, that's really going to be something to consider, because even though this bar is heavy, it's like if we can't get through those wall walks, that's going to eat away at your clock.
Right. And so I think that's something to work with your coach on. Test out a couple of those reps, because remember, now that we've got the open here, we've got those standards. That tape line is 10 inches from the wall. So you really do have to get some part of your hand, both hands, on that tape line. So it's great to practice that, find that rhythm that you can settle into. If you can do the wall walks, even if they're slow and you know you can move the weight, I would personally attempt to do this thing RX.
Yeah.
For our scaled folks, if a 225 deadlift, a 135 clean is at or near your 1 rep max, or 155 for women, 85 on the clean, on the snatch, then we certainly will want to think about scaling the weight there and scaling the movements as well. So this is near the end, and this is when the realization sets in. Not going to be able to hit the sub 15, but I started off at about 1,200 for the first maybe 15 calories or 20. I fell up to about 1050, and even here at the end, in the last 10 seconds, I was like, let's get a kick, let's get a kick. Like,
there's no kick.
My kick was 1050. I felt like I was rowing so hard, and I got to 1050.
My kick was like 820 to 850.
Yeah, 100%. So I think this is like my last pull.
Yeah, my thoughts here are you need to get to this rower because you're going to need all the time in the world.
Yeah.
So I was trying to make these wall walks a bit faster.
And for anyone out there who's ever finished a workout on a machine, this is my personal opinion, but I think that's the hardest way to end a workout, because it's up to you to determine the intensity and the level that you want to put into that machine. You know, when it's like even the last workout, finishing with thrusters, there comes a certain point in time where you can have muscular failure. Like, I just can't lift the barbell anymore. I can't do the pull-up or the gymnastic movement. When there's a machine, there's no failure muscular-wise. It's just like, how hard can I push and pull on that machine?
Yeah.
So you get 4 solid minutes here to try and get 50 calories done. What was your initial thought when you hopped on the rower with 4 minutes left?
It was, okay, you got a little bit of extra time so you can kind of ease into your pace.
Yeah.
Just start moving was the main goal.
Yep.
And then when I realized that the just start moving was going to be the pace the whole time, I was like, this is not going to go well.
I think that's a great awareness, though, that to just get the flywheel going is a big win in of itself. And like you said, if you can just get it spinning, maybe you find a second win, 10 pulls in, or maybe not, and you just stay where you're at. But either way, you're getting calories by getting that flywheel going. And then, did you notice anything about like stroke rate or just technique, or was it just kind of like a survival mode at this point?
It's survival mode. My stroke rate won't like increase that much. I think the highest it went was 34 maybe, but like the way that complete like body failure was kicking in, like nothing was working the way it should. I was messing with the damper. I was like, all right, let's push it down, see if that helps. Nothing. Push it up, nothing. And it was just everything I could do to keep it over 750.
Yep.
And then there were a few times where I had to stop because I was just like, I've got nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to like do math in my head about pace and stuff. And I was like, well, just kind of throw your head in, and then if you can, sprint it out. But there wasn't much sprint to be had.
No. I will say, we mentioned there was leaks in what we potentially thought the workout was going to be. Having seen the workout, having done the workout, I think it's a beautifully designed workout. I think it was the hardest of the 3 from just a mental and physical perspective. But I think just the balance of requiring some level of gymnastics, a machine to figure out if you can push and hold that pace, and then, you know, even just showcasing what you can do with a barbell, I think it was a really well-designed workout, and I think people are going to have fun with it. I think they're also going to be surprised by it as well.
Yeah. This is the hardest open workout I've done since like 2016.
Yeah.
It was.
This was about the time where I think, not quite yet, coming up, I'm looking at you, you stop here, there's a moment where you go, I'm not going to finish. And I was like, you have a minute and a half.
And I was doing the math. I knew where I was, and I was like, I don't know if I have any pace here, Brad. It was just bad. I did appreciate the fan.
You got the fan.
That was helpful, but like it just, I mean, I think I had like the Dan Bailey spit coming out of my mouth, the whole thing. Like it was, I'm glad we turned our rowers away from the camera because it was not pretty.
I don't know what happened But like even on the first row, I got cotton mouth, and I was like, "Oh no, I'm a minute and a half in, and my mouth is dry." And I thought the same thing on the last row. I was like, even if I wanted to spit, I don't think there was anything. Like it just, for whatever reason, was dry air. I think this is the point in time where you said, "I'm not going to finish." I think you had 15 calories. Like you can do 15 calories in a minute 10.
Yeah, on a regular day, but I was just like, dude,
I was like, just hold 900. Just hold 900.
I mean, and I think you cut off the video before, but I sat on that rower for a solid 8-10 minutes after we finished.
Yeah.
Like I had to get Edwin to bring me a FitAid. I was like, I need to just stay here before I fall over.
Yeah. I think for affiliates out there, it's going to be a fun one to do. You'll need a lot of help. Plan out those heats. I would tell people, like we've already highlighted, if you're looking at what kind of pacing structure to go for this, anticipate this being a 20-minute AMRAP or anticipate this being a 20-minute workout. It's going to be challenging for athletes to get this thing done under the cap, I think.
Oh, yeah. I thought I was joking before. I was like, I'm going to be at like 19 and a half. But then I was like, oh, no, this is, it was about 8 minutes in, I was like, oh, I don't know if I got this.
Yeah, I think I gave a little, so about 1953 there, and it was like a all-out effort to get that done.
It didn't even look like it, though. From behind, it doesn't even look like
I thought the same thing. I was like, it looked like I could have held that pace all day, and in my head, I thought I was rowing so hard.
And I was telling you, we've done that 9/11 workout that starts and ends with 2,000 plus meters.
Yeah.
And I've been fine during that workout, but this was totally different.
Yeah.
It was,
So any final thoughts, reflections for our viewers out there?
You know, I can't sugarcoat things. This is a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
But the bar getting lighter is helpful.
Yeah.
And so don't be discouraged in the beginning by that big row and the heavier deadlifts. And then as it gets lighter, try and lean into it. And this is a cool one to see how far you can push it.
Yeah.
You know, and to find that limit, which I definitely found today, and know where that is for yourself.
Yeah. I would recommend pacing this thing from the get-go. Feel like you're moving smooth and steady. And if there's a point of this workout that you like, if you like the barbell, have fun with it. If you like the wall walks, push it there. But have fun with it. Enjoy it. It's the last week of the Open. This is the biggest community event for the year for CrossFit. So celebrate it with your communities. Enjoy, cheer each other on, see how you can push it, see how you can help out. We've had a ton of fun over the last 2 weeks. I'm excited to see how week 3 goes for us with our potluck after on Saturday. Mm-hmm. So we're looking forward to all of our athletes hitting this on Saturday morning. 20 minutes of fun or faster, depending on how you're moving. Enjoy 25.3. We've had a blast doing these workouts and sharing some of our insights with you. Hopefully you found them valuable. And we look forward to seeing you all on the leaderboard.
Yeah, I'm going to go die now. Bye.